just need a place to put it, so that'd be great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, sweet. Thanks.
That's
John.
great, thank you.
Okay, so 11B, under new business, discussion of possible action on budget amendments to provide the ED with more hours, perhaps?
I don't need them. Get this. Here's a copy of the updated.
That.
Huh?
That wasn't convincing.
No, it's a joke. That wasn't part of my, come on, Dominica. Hey, look, I got one for you.
Hey, what do you know?
So John has an operating budget in place, and the bottom left corner is how much my salary would increase to with 10 more hours, and then it has a total breakdown of what you'd be paying for staff. And John and I both agree we should mention that he's got one more week left of his 15 hours a week after this week, so it wouldn't be much of a change. I don't know how much John makes hourly as a contractor, but the money that he's receiving for his 15 hours a week will be gone, so that could be translated over.
Okay, so you're talking about the quarter 4?
It's the bottom left, yeah, can I see that one?
Right. Yeah, and we are, and this is fiscal year, it's quarter 4 of the fiscal year. So
Right, up top is like, yeah, does that make sense? So up top is the first quarter.
The first quarter, which started July 1st.
Right, and then October 1st.
Yeah.
I don't know what that thing is in the middle. John's got quite a budget thing going. It could be hard to keep up with. And then, yeah, that was the new year when I had 24 hours, and then below that on the bottom left would be starting April 1st if I went to 30 hours a week.
Okay, so what's the bottom line proposal that you're making?
Okay. What's the increase?
I mean, we don't have in front of us what the old proposal
Quarter
was,
3 for 1/1/19 has my hours of 24 hours a week
right?
at $33,000 annual. This new one is an increase of 6 hours a week for a total annual increase, or annual payment of
But
Okay,
you
so
but you got
we're
rid of John
talking-
to pay for it.
We're
What's
talking
that?
But you got rid of John to pay for it.
Right,
Yeah.
Actually, you'd be making, John's at 15 hours a week. I don't know what he makes hourly. But it would be 6 more hours, bringing me up to 30, and then we could revisit another increase later.
But that was intended to be short term.
Right, that was the other thing
With
too, is there
John.
was 3 budgets of like, if the others, it's confusing to me because John has a budget for if we stay the same, a budget, if we were to give everybody a pay raise and add a radio coordinator and add the full-time job. So the best I could come up with is the bottom one on the left, 4/1/2019. That's what everybody's making currently, hourly rate, how many hours they have, how much they make a week, and then yearly, if that makes sense.
yeah. You know, I've listened to this idea of having a radio coordinator to work with Rob, and I can't support that until we complete the task of having job descriptions written up for everybody, but
Yeah.
until I know what everybody's doing, I don't want to add another staff person.
I totally agree with you. I mean,
It shows 0, so.
I know it does show at 0, and I just am saying, I don't know if we're keeping that as a placeholder because we're still gonna do that. I
the
don't
staff
even wanna-
reviews are coming in the next 2 weeks. We're gonna try and do them in time for our next staff meeting, which is in 2 weeks, so we can schedule the dates out. So by the middle of April, I should have them to you if you want to see them, or we could condense them down and report back.
I'll look at them during our meeting.
I think Rob's busy right now with a bunch of big stuff, like that automation took a lot of his time, the key cards are taking a lot of his time, the emergency procedure thing, but all those things are short-term issues, which are gonna, in the long run, make his job a lot easier to handle for one person. So I agree with you that I don't think a radio coordinator is needed at this time.
Well, I'm also thinking in terms of your job being easier, because how can you direct a staff if you don't know exactly what it is that they're supposed to be doing? And again, how are you going to review the staff if you don't know what the expectations are?
And,
So
right,
I want to see that get put into place.
I do too, but here's the other issue with that, is coming back into how many hours I have a week. It feels like every week there's been some big thing that's taken up my 24 hours a week, and it's hard to make
I
time.
know,
So that's,
and
it's
that's
kind of
the
a one
challenge.
hand washing the other thing. It's like hard for me to
I
get in
know.
there and find out what the staff, and not only that, but to justify more hours. I'm sure that Rob, Patty, Nellie, and Jeff, some of them are doing 1 or 2 things that should come back over on my plate, that they shouldn't be done by those guys. They should have something completely different to do. So it's just been hard to find the time to learn the ropes, handle, events, all the other stuff that came up, and then also review the staff. I mean, I've got, a stack of underwriting stuff I really want to have time to go through, just really dig in on that. So it's just been hard to, get up to
As long as
speed.
we know what it is that we're working towards, and then.
Yeah, that's why we,
Okay.
I talked to John about it, and I think that the 6 hours a week increased to, 30 hours a week instead of 24. I think that's a good place to start, and,
Okay.
we can look from there. I think it's reasonable.
So I'd like to make a motion that we follow through with this and grant the additional hours to the executive director.
I want to hear what the treasurer has to say.
I am concerned because we are running in the red, but because I want to be an optimist for once in my life, this moment in time, I am enthusiastic that with the increased hours, there will be a huge increase in revenue for the agency, and we set some pretty significant goals at the board retreat that I would expect to be upheld. And if that is the case, then I do think we have the capacity to do so. I'm wondering if there's a time period where it can be under review. If that makes sense, where it's kind of like, where are we at in 6 months? I know that sounds intense because it's not just a one-person job, but like certain things like the underwriting plan, all those things are not done yet, and that's really frustrating to me because if it was, then I would feel more comfortable spending more money if we actually had something to go out to people with. So, I don't know. I don't know what that looks like. I know the job is more than 24 hours a week, but we also envision the job to be pretty much dedicated to outreach, not just outreach, but like fund development as well as management of the staff. So that's where I'm at with it.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Does anybody want to second it?
I will second it. Yeah, I have faith that with your background in, dealing with boards and gathering funds and fundraising, I think that we will meet the goals that we've set, and I think that 2019 is going to be a good year for this organization.
Okay.
I think without,
I was just gonna say, any further discussion?
yeah, I think without the extra hours, like it's been said, that things pop up that take the 24 hours up, and we really need to have some extra paid hours in order to pursue a lot of the marketing and stuff like that.
And I don't know if this makes any sense, but is there some way, with regards to the staff, because it does feel like job descriptions keeps getting flown by the wayside, can that, I guess prioritizing some of that stuff, and with that and with, just prioritizing that for the staff, so we know, okay, then at some point, do we need to hire somebody to help with Rob, otherwise we keep kind of floating along, and,
When your job description.
This is what this extra
Yeah.
hours will be.
but
That'd be nice.
I wanna make sure that, it's like, it's easier to say, yeah, that's what it'll be for, but
Well, part of
things, and I know stuff comes up, as it has, that kind of gets thrown by the wayside, other things get thrown by the wayside, but somehow we have to prioritize and say, this is what we need to have done, so I'm all for it, and I think if that helps you get those things done in a timely manner, then absolutely, because I know you're doing more than 24 hours worth of work, totally.
Well, we'll review the use of those extra hours at every board meeting by hearing the executive director's report. And if we feel that not enough is being accomplished, then we'll make a statement to the fact that certain additional things need to get done.
Yeah, I'm fully
Yeah.
happy to be held accountable.
Or can it just be explicitly included in the annual review?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Or could it be explicitly included in the annual review that the staff member is reviewed annually, and if there hasn't been progress, then, 'cause I don't know if we need to review it every month, I mean, that might be a bit much, but I'm thinking it's pretty common in jobs that, especially in fund development positions, that every 6 months to a year, you're reviewed, and if you're not bringing in revenue, then the discussion's open.
Kind of like a quota.
Yeah, not like not necessarily quota, because I know how difficult, yeah, but just to make it, so again, we're not kind of floating around saying, okay, we're gonna deal with it monthly, we're gonna do it, because I think that having like a set parameter and just saying, we're gonna review it in a year, and it's not like, oh, you're not making any money, we're gonna fire you, it's just, we're gonna go through the review process as we should, annually, we're gonna go through the staff review process. So why not, at that point, really assess where we're at with fund development, and then it can come back to the board as a report, just so we have something formal that makes me feel more comfortable.
I'm curious, because you had mentioned 6 months earlier, and I kind of like that, just to see if not just the fund development aspect of it, but other things regarding staff and stuff are actually, like, in 6 months down the road, I don't wanna be still wondering what the staff is, what their job descriptions are, that kind of thing.
The only reason I changed it is because we're already 3 months in, or how far are we in already? So I was thinking date from hire, so a year from hire. That's the only reason I changed it. So a year from hire date, I retracted in my own mind and said, okay, a year from hire date, I think is a fair amount of time. As someone that's done fund development, you gotta give it time. I mean, a few months isn't gonna do it, but.
I mean, I'm happy to do it biannual, maybe an informal one after 6 months and then a formal, whatever you guys want to do.
Well,
I
you
mean,
still have a 90-day review that's gonna come,
It's
and
coming
so
up, yeah.
I would say, if I could suggest a friendly amendment to your motion to say that this would begin at the end of your 90-day review, and that we review it again in 6 months,
Yeah, sure, 6 months.
would you?
I would rather go for a year in this because it's gonna take a while to develop and start getting the ball rolling. That we have a 90-day review, and then I think we should have a yearly review. Once a year.
I mean, I don't see harm in the 6 month. I'm going back and forth in my, because I was thinking from hire date, not from review date.